Welcome to Lift Your Story podcast with guest Kyle Sullivan, founder of Unleash the Champ.
Hi, everyone. I am that gal. I'm from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. I'm with.
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to our Lift Your Story podcast. And that gal is Lori Ann Campbell.
Oh, I didn't say my name. Okay. That's okay. We're going to move along because this is fun. I'm not putting this as a blooper. And yes, and in this episode, we welcome Kyle Sullivan. He's the founder of Unleash the Champ. Thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
So Kyle, you were a Division I athlete. What was your sport?
So here's a curveball. So I was a cheerleader in college. So competed nationally, and after playing baseball, football, and powerlifting in high school, went and did the cheerleading thing. You know, 18-year-old guy hanging out with pretty girls. That's not a bad gig.
No, not at all. Sure,
That's not an easy gig either.
Field.
No, it's sure not. I got more bumps, bruises, and nicks being a cheerleader than I did ever in baseball or football.
Yeah, we interviewed a lady that was a cheerleader. Matter of fact, she was coaching cheerleading at a Division I school, and she got hurt. You know, so yeah, it can be dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we would throw human beings 20 feet in the air and expect ourselves to catch them. What could go wrong?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Now, in your bio, you said drug dealer. Now, were you a drug dealer, or did you get involved with the drug dealers?
The answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it got wrapped up in it in college, and it just intensified to the point in about a 2.5 year time is when I was using, dealing, just wrapped up in the whole world. And yeah, it came crashing down when I got jumped at a drug deal and said, you know what, maybe this isn't how I want my life to be.
So you didn't get arrested and go to jail, but
Nope.
Fortunately, your little incident probably kept you from that in the future.
Oh, 100%. I say it literally beat the hell out of me because that's where I was headed. And so it was divine, you know, take my licks, my lumps, but didn't end up in jail, didn't end up more than, you know, bruised pride and a bruised eye. But other than that, I made out pretty well.
So your aha moment changed the trajectory of your life then.
100%. 100%. I got out of that house, called one guy that I trusted from church, and I'll abbreviate it here. I said, I need effing Jesus. I just didn't abbreviate anything. About 3:00 in the morning, and he said, okay, come on over. Who does that? Who does that? That guy did. And so came over and I just right there on the front porch said, hey, I'm gonna turn my life around. I'm gonna follow Christ. Everything. I'd gone to church, middle school, high school, and it all made sense in a moment when it didn't for years. And honestly, you know, part of me thought, okay, I'm beat up, I'm adrenaline's rushing, you know, hopefully this sticks. But it did. I woke up the next day, I asked the guy, I said, okay, so what do I do now? And that led me on a path to getting into different community, getting different friends, going back to college and getting my degree and moving and then, you know, 11 years being a pastor at really prominent large churches that I was blessed to be a part of, and now to the creation of the coaching business. It's been a wild journey.
Yeah, you know, saying that, you know, you called a friend up and he, you know, helped you out. You went on to be a pastor,
Yep.
right?
Yes, sir.
So in that area, how many people did you turn around?
Oh man, over the 11 years, hundreds. And it was really incredible to wonder in one season what is all of this for, and in another season get clarity on why I went through it. I was a youth pastor for 7 of those 11 years, and talking to students that were just like me, that had no care in the world to be at church, no desire to have anything. And they're like, you just don't understand what I'm going through. I'm like, try me. Or they come up and say, I need to talk to somebody, but I just don't know if you'd get it. Try me. And so there was countless times where my story in one season allowed me to relate to somebody in their present season. And the whole time I was a pastor, I said, look, no matter what environment that I got to lead and be a part of, I said, I want this to be a place, if I'm a part of it, it's a place where people can belong before they believe or behave, because that's what I wanted. And so through that, getting to impact hundreds of people directly, tens of thousands of people indirectly, it's been pretty incredible. I'd go through all of it again.
Yeah, I mean, the people that come back to you and say, man, thank you so much for believing in me. Thank you for helping me. You saved my life. You changed my life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
because
100%.
You've been there.
Yep,
You've been
sure.
there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so fun to see people that were in, my ministry as middle school, high school students or adults that, are doing. I like to think that I'm staying the same age when I see students that I had have kids and be parents, and I'm like, no, like I'm still like 23, right? No, okay. But I love seeing that. And my measuring stick was always, let's see what they're doing when they're not in our ministry or in our church. Because a lot of times, particularly in youth ministry, students go because parents make them go. You're in my house, you can go to my church. Like, my house, my rules. Okay, great. When they get out and they can choose, that's how I measured the success. Were they engaged? Were they doing it for themselves when they didn't have to? And so it's been amazing to see, people be in business and be in ministry and be parents. It's been pretty incredible.
Yeah. Or introduce you to their kids as, this is the man that changed my life. This is the man that saved my life.
Yeah. They're like, oh, this is my kid. I'm like, I have some students that, they started having kiddos much earlier than me. We got kids the same age. I'm like, how is this possible? How is this possible? But it's super fun.
So
Funny when you say that, though, looking at, you want to always feel the same age. And there's a funny comment and it says, it's hard when you're looking at somebody, you go, look at that old person there, and yet they're the same age as you. You're, oh crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or it's like, look at that old person over there. Oh, wait a minute, I went to high school with them.
Right.
But yeah, so you went on to do Unleash the Champ. So first question, in your view, or in the way you feel, do you think every person has that champ within them?
I do. I think everybody has a championship run that they are created and destined to complete. Now, there's a few things. One, it's different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So what is considered a championship run for me is different from you, is different from the listeners. So I do believe there's a champ in everybody. And champ for me means aligning your calling, your heart, your altitude, mindset, and your performance. So everybody has a champion. It's just determining and deciding what yours is and then doing what it takes to get there.
Yeah. So when you work with people, you work with them to try to find out what that champ is, and show them how to amplify that.
100%. So it's either discovering, it's either developing, or it's deploying their championship run. Because I get to work with people that are really successful, just want to enhance that and scale that. I work with others that, man, they're in a place where they're going, I don't know. They're more confused than champion, and we help them process through that. And so it's a bit of a spectrum, but it is people who know there's more. They either know how to get it and they need accountability, or they don't know how to get it and they need a different type of accountability and a little bit more hand holding along the way.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned accountability, because that is so huge for people that are trying to make change and improve themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. It's accountability and feedback is the breakfast of champions. And so it's everybody thinks it's Wheaties, but it's accountability and making sure that you just hold yourself true to what you said you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And we as people, we will go to the path of least resistance.
Yes.
So if I say, okay, I want to hit this goal in my business. I want to lose this weight. I want to write this book. I want to start this podcast. I want to do fill in the blank thing. If you don't tell anybody, the likelihood that you do it, I'd say 20, 30%. I'm going to say you're 20, 30% likely to achieve that thing. If you tell a small group of people, you probably get it up to about 40, 50%. If you're vocal and you say, hey, this is what I'm doing, I need some accountability, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you and you and you, and then a healthy peer pressure kicks in. It's like, crap, I can't not do it now. Before I even started my podcast back in March of this year, I had the idea for it. Said, okay, I think I'm going to do this. I told a couple people. Well, those couple people put it out in like a bigger group text. It's like, Kyle said he's doing a podcast in 6 weeks. Yeah, I guess I am now. Let's go. And so accountability accelerates our action.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard when all your friends and everybody they go, hey, what about your podcast? I thought
how's that thing going
about now? Well, yeah.
Right. Exactly. No one wants that.
You don't want to see anybody because you haven't done it yet.
100%.
And the tough one too is being part of the norm. They say that most podcasts end after 3 months. And, ours has been going for, getting on to 2 years now. But one of the things that you don't want to do too is say, yeah, I got the podcast, get it going. And then 6 months later, somebody asks, how was it? Oh yeah, I did it, but then I quit. Like, it's a hard thing to do, right? But we learned though, not to overexert ourselves, right? We learned that we have to steady ourselves, because that's why you get burnout. And I can see why people quit.
Yeah. And I think an important thing here for your listeners is sometimes it's okay. It's right to be wrong. So if somebody says, okay, I'm going to start this thing, they started out and 6 months later, let's take the podcast for example. 6 months later, they go, it no longer serves me. It no longer is an alignment with where I'm going, what I'm doing, and what I'm a part of. Then it's right to be wrong when you said, I'm forever going to be a podcaster. Well, then if 6 months later, it's not adding the value you thought, or it's not doing the things that you thought, it's not hitting the goals that you set out to do, then it's okay to just stop it. And here's the thing. You don't have to justify yourself to nobody. I work with my clients, and that is a big thing for people, especially. So, we say accountability accelerates action. Well, what happens when you started something and then you're like, I got to keep going because I'm doing it? No, you don't. If it isn't in alignment, then you can give it the axe. And you don't have to justify that to nobody. Well, what about that thing? I'm not doing that anymore. Now, again, the caveat to the caveat is don't do that all the time. because then you'll be flaky. So it's a dance. It's like the tango. A lot of moving parts. You can get off step really easily, but when it's done correctly, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and we enjoy it, and like we wouldn't have ever met you, okay? And we have met so many interesting people and heard so many great stories that we never would have heard.
Oh, 100%. I tell people all the time, I selfishly started my podcast just because I wanted to learn from amazing people.
Because we firmly believe that everybody has a story. No matter who you are, you have a story, and something in your story will resonate with someone else.
Yep, that's exactly right, Roy.
You know, but so in your coaching program and all, you know, can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, CHAMP is an acronym. So again, remember that we're either discovering, developing, or deploying your calling, your heart, your altitude, mindset, and performance. Rarely does somebody come to me and they need help in all 5 of those.
Yeah.
But we'll hit multiples of those through our time working together. And so aligning those things creates your personal or your professional culture. And culture is made up of what you are teaching others, what you're telling yourself, and what you tolerate in your world. So imagine my program having 5 pillars, 3 buckets. It creates your culture. And we work through the process of identifying that thing. So let's say, for instance, you need help between the ears with your mindset. So first of all, we would identify where you are limiting, and that goes into the bucket of what you're tolerating in your world and also what you're telling yourself. So through a series of questions, we would ask, you know, where are your biggest limiting beliefs? Is it around money? Is it around relationships? Is it around your professional life? Is it around interpersonal skills? What are those things? What are the stories you're telling yourself? Then we would examine what is beneficial about it, what is true about it, and what is a one-sided story that you've told yourself, and seek affirmation of that through your environment. So that would be the first thing. Then we would move to reframing what those stories are. And from there, we go, okay, here's how we can continue this work. If it's something along, you know, a team, we'd go in and say, okay, hey, here's where the team's at right now. Here's what's working. Here's what's confusing. Here's what you're tolerating. Here's what you're teaching. Here's what you're telling, those things again. And then we would build a plan. So I'm very action oriented. Let's start with a conversation. Let's create a plan. Let's work the plan, and we will adapt along the way as we need to, as it scales, as it grows, you know, so on and so forth. But that's the gist of it is examine, build the plan, work the plan, duplicate the process.
And be held accountable along the way.
That's right.
That's one of the most important things, right?
That's right. Accountability accelerates action.
Cool. So, you know, I think for most people, you know, I think their mindset is a big factor in holding people back, you know, because those limiting beliefs from how they grew up or whatever, you know, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, you know, all that stuff that the self-talk, so to speak, that you have growing up has become part of you, you know. How hard is that to get past for most people?
Again, it varies. But what I will say is I think we grew up, and especially I think why it's such a thing right now, particularly with my generation of millennials, is we grew up with our parents telling us we could do anything we wanted.
Yes.
Well, you can be anything you want. No, I can't. I can't. And so I think the the job as a society is to be compassionate and empathetic, but also tell people, hey, like I will never be, I don't care how bad I want to be in the NBA. It ain't ever going to happen. I'm 5'8" on a good day with the right boots and the right product in my hair. Like it's never going to happen. It's not in the cards for me. But I think that is what started it. And so one, you have to get honest with yourself. Like I got a 2-year-old little girl and a 5-month-old son. There are going to be some things that I'm sorry, you're just not going to do. You're not going to be able to do. But you can do something. And let's discover that thing you can do. And then let's go all in on that. And I'm not, if it's something that I don't think they could do, but they're really passionate about it and the cards line up, then sure. But I think we need to be real with ourselves. And then we have to reframe what we want. So if I say, okay, I want to do this in business, this thing, but I have this belief that it can't happen. I don't know. I'll tell it myself. A barrier for me when I started my business was I can't be more successful than the people I grew up with. Because they work just as harder than me. So I had a money issue. I had a success limiting belief that there's no way that I could make more than the people that I'm friends with back home because, gosh, they work so hard. Well, we're in different places. We're in different spaces. And their success isn't predicated on my ability to succeed. And so that was one of the things that I had to work through is go, hold on, what is actually true about this? What is actually true about this thought, this belief? Nothing really. And so if you're honest with yourself and you identify what those beliefs, what those barriers are, and then you do your best to reframe it. And I love this. This is like coaching 101, friend 101, is ask yourself, if I had a friend with the same issue, what would I tell them? That little hack that has been around for ages gets us out of the emotional state of our own problems and goes, okay, if I had a friend, like, okay, if Roy had my problem, what would I tell Roy? I would tell him, cool, go do that. And so it's get honest, identify the beliefs, reframe the beliefs, try to get yourself out of the emotional state of all of it. And then you can start to move forward by reframing and restating what you want to be true and what you are walking into, not what you've gone through in the past.
Yeah. What is that saying? You're the sum of the 5 of your closest friends or something like that.
Yep.
And if you want to know where you're at in life, look at your 5 closest friends. That'll tell you where you're at.
100%. 100%. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Yeah. Yeah. And you think
if you have friends.
Huh? What'd you say?
I said that's if you have friends. Okay, I'm not discounting you, Roy, but I don't have 5. I mean, really close ones. I'm very limited on that front.
Yeah. Well, I think most people have probably actual friends, not acquaintances, but friends. Yeah. They have less than 5. Most people. True friends.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, Kyle, how can our listeners reach out to you?
Well, I'm most active on Instagram. At Kyle J. Sullivan is the most active social media platform that I'm on. You can also email me directly, Kyle@KyleJSullivan.com. put lift your story in there, so I know it came from this amazing podcast. Love to hear your story, as you heard mine today. And if there's anything I can help in life, leadership, or business, we can have that conversation too, see if there's alignment there.
Great.
Awesome.
Have
That was
you,
excellent. Thank you so much.
Of course.
are you in a process, or are you thinking about writing a book by any chance?
Hey, you know that thing where it's like people ask you about that thing that we talked about earlier, Roy? Yeah, that's good. Let's see. Could I say with integrity I'm in the process? Yeah, I'm in the process of it. But you can tell by my tonality change. It's a slow moving process. But,
Well, but I mean,
2022, there will be some books released.
it's in your future, for sure.
Absolutely.
Great. But it was so great meeting you. Thank you so much for being our guest. It was really a lot of fun.
Absolutely. It was awesome to be with that gal and that guy. Come on now.
Yeah, and that
Thank
gal,
you.
by the way, is Lori Ann Campbell.
That's right. Lori Ann. We'll say her name for her. We don't need her to say her name, Roy. Her presence is felt.
I always associate a song, right? Say my name, say my name.
We,
I don't need to.
we have a lot of fun with each other.
This episode is brought to you by Maono, featuring their multifunctional USB microphone, very light, portable, affordable, and great for podcasters, and available on Amazon.